market their products in our country. I'm sure all of us might have heard of companies like Divi's Labs. If Divi's Labs were today to go into marketing and sales, they would have had an easy run because they're very well known in the share market, probably India's number 3 in terms of volumes, right? But they've never marketed their product as their own in the market. But there are a lot of people who are buying from them abroad. So quality is given, the company's branding is all done. So you only need to now find out, how to make the soil, prepare the soil, which means is the marketing inputs have to be in there, identification of the right customer, all these things comes within marketing. Not marketing. Then you hire a sales force and the sales force goes ahead with the marketing inputs that are given to them, with the branding that is already behind them in the terms of a huge banner called Divi's. And then, if they go to sales, it makes their job very easy, and the harvest as well as the return on investment would be very good, provided there is a good branding in place and there is marketing that is taking place, the communication is correctly done, the positioning is there, and the correct type of customers are being met. The possibility of the results coming is very, very high as compared to, somebody just going with a product, meeting a few customers and trying to do a sale. Sales will happen, but the sales will be very limited. And it will be more like, a value sale where you will have to give it at the lowest price and so on and so forth. And after about 2-3 years, you'll be still stuck at the same thing because, there is only sales. So the whole thing, branding, marketing, and sales together is one whole, and that is what actually delivers the revenue. So the big question that comes to mind is, if I am having a very limited amount of money, what do I do first? That's $1 million question. So one of the methods in which you can actually do it is, you probably would need to, hire somebody, whether it is on a full-time basis, whether it is on a part-time basis. And that's where, quite a few organizations who are starting marketing actually have a consultant on board who can guide them as to, how do we go about the branding? How do we go about the marketing? And how do we go about, hiring the sales force, putting them in place, and, ensuring that all these things work very seamlessly to deliver a certain result. Many times we have seen in a lot of situations, the manufacturing companies are good in manufacturing, are good in production, are good in ensuring quality, are good in ensuring, the delivery happens on time. But all the other things, the branding, the marketing and the sales, and ensuring all these functions move seamlessly to get them a result at the earliest and at the lowest cost possible with a very little expense. When I say little, it depends upon what is the ambition, right? Many times your ambition is you have some excess production, right? Then as you are able to make use of that, you might be able to improve your production with the increased volumes that come into the organization in terms of turnover. And that then would actually, help you to further increase this particular revenue generation. So again, coming to summarize what we are saying, if you basically look at, sales basically handles what is happening at present. Marketing handles probably the future. And if you want to justify a good price, a premium price, which you believe your product deserves because of its quality and efficiency, you need to have branding in place. All these three, there is nothing like, you can do one at the cost of the other, or nothing that do that, you can do this and not that. It has to be a combination of all three, right? And this combination keeps changing because once your branding is in place, your money would be more on marketing. Once marketing is happening, then you would probably look at expanding the sales force and trying to generate more volumes. So it is, the percentage compositions will always, mean different things. And in context of what is happening today, that is, if you basically look at, getting leads, but they are not getting converted. Many times you get leads in sales, but the conversion of what is the requirement, what is the actual need of the customer is what is addressed by marketing. So you need to have a marketing person on board to actually look at, the customer in more detail, and then, the conversions will happen much faster. Branding there has a role of only giving you a perspective, a banner, a comfort level. but then marketing is what actually, converts the need into a sale, right? And then, of course, like I did mention earlier, the sales is there to harvest the results of the conviction that is developed in the particular customer. And many times, nowadays there is a lot of hype on social media. But then social media is very interesting in the fact that, what do you actually measure in social media? So when we look at social media and we listen to what is happening on social media, is number of clicks actually justifying, or is there actually a solid lead that is generated which can be traced back to these clicks, and thereby that lead gets converted into business? Now that is an area which is very gray, and there are organizations which do it very well, and majority of organizations believe you're on social media, you're on LinkedIn, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, and you're all across the board, and the marketing is done. But then the marketing actually needs to be thought through, right? Social media can probably do a lot of branding for you, right? And probably some sales at some point of time. But to have a consistent long-term business, to a large extent, particularly if it's a product we are manufacturing, you need to have, what is now very common and probably going to happen in Iran, that is boots on the ground is what actually brings you the business. And to put the boots on the ground, you need to do some thought process. So looking back to what has happened in the Gulf War, right? There was hardly any branding. There was hardly any marketing. The Americans never understood why they were going to war, right? They never had the right tools to go to war. And now all of a sudden they're in the war. So the planes, if you want to look at it, the ships are all in the water, but they will drown or they will actually be successful in achieving the objective of, whatever they thought, if at all there was a thought process, right? That again is another example of moving away from farming and coming to war, as to going without a thought process, going without proper branding, going without proper marketing, and only putting salespeople on the ground might not get the actual results that you are looking at achieving, right? So, and it is a time where you need advisors, right? You need people with experience coming in and, understanding what is it that we actually want to do, arriving at a plan, a strategy of what we want to achieve, how much it is going to cost us, putting in the planning, getting in the right people in branding, in marketing, and in sales, and then, holding it all together till everyone is okay to go free, and making the owners as well as the SME, founders, partners, helping them to understand how to run the business. And once the business is running on its own steam, they can always move away and allow things to go on its own steam. But till then, steady hand that will actually help them to ensure that, everything is in place and things happen, I think is the role of an external consultant, advisor, mentor, whatever you would like to call them, or a specialist or an expert, as what Lalita always keeps saying. So that is how it is. So this is what I wanted to convey to you about it. So, you don't sow, you don't harvest. And once you sow it in a place which is very conducive, and ensure everyone knows it is sown in the right place and is growing at a very, very good place. That is what his branding does. And, ensuring that it is continuously, there is seed sown, and so that the harvest will be bountiful year after year, irrespective of the environmental factors that happen, because marketing will ensure that the environmental factors are taken care of. So that is my take on sales marketing, as well as, the branding that happens. So how will you identify whether, you've started? So the first identification comes, like I was in a project where I was called into and said, we have a marketing team in place. So now you tell us where are we going wrong, because we've hit a certain level of volume, and beyond that, nothing seems to happen. So, the first thing when we went in is we looked at, the entire marketing team, said, what is the marketing team? So he said, we have a marketing team of about 48 people. I said, you have 48 people in marketing. So how many people in sales? So he said, marketing people are the sales people, right? And then I said, okay, fine. So you're marketing people, you're sales people. So how many people do you have in branding? So marketing people do branding, they do sales, and they do marketing, right? And then when I said, okay, fine, good. So if you have so many people, then we only need to look at sales people separately and branding people separately. But when we sat down, both of us understood at the same time that what we had was a sales team, right? There was a design studio and a sales team, and that's it. So then we had to go about setting a branding team, coordinating with design, starting up a social media marketing team, and then a marketing team proper, and then, convincing all salespeople that actually you guys are, sales guys, you're not marketing guys. So they also took about 3 to 4 months to understand that actually they were sales guys and not marketing guys. Like they've been told all through their life for the past almost 10, 12 years. And then when the marketing team came in, they understood that what is marketing, what is sales, and how does branding help both marketing and sales. And then on, things went very well. And the project was, very successfully done and handed over with all the teams in place with their roles and responsibilities.